All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to Jewel today. My name is Anthony Melito. I'm the Field Director for Local 881 of the United Food and Commercial Workers. We have the pleasure of representing all the employees here at Jewel. On behalf of our President Powell and the members of Local 881, I would like to thank Governor Pritzker and his office for the grocery tax relief. It is expected to put approximately $360 million in the hands of taxpayers, which will certainly help our members and working families across the state. Local 881 is proud to continue to stand with our governor, and with that, I will turn it over to Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Thank you very much, and thanks to Steve and really all the workers at UFCW. Good morning, everybody. Are we at right about noon? So maybe it's afternoon. I'll start with a thank you to our hosts, Jewel Osco President Mike Withers, Senior Vice President Mark Laurier, Senior Vice President Sean Porter, Vice President Eric Stevenson, and the entire Jewel Osco family. Yours is an Illinois company through and through, so there's no better place for us to come and talk about how we can bring a little more relief to families across Illinois who come through these grocery aisles every single day. To our General Assembly partners, Senator Patricia Van Pelt, and to Representative Lakeisha Collins and Representative Sonia Harper, who were unable to attend today, I look forward to working together this session as we bring much needed relief to Illinois families. I'm also proud to stand with Anthony Melito, the Vice President of UFCW Local 881. He's a leader who has spent his lifetime fighting for workers. Anyone who walks into a grocery store right now can tell you that it feels like a different experience than it did a year ago. Eggs, milk, veggies, beef, across the board, nutritious food is more expensive. But Illinois families need it nonetheless. Whether it's supply chain issues or global oil prices, we can't pick the ways that the pandemic affects our lives. But what government must do is soften the impact in the ways that we can. So I'm asking the General Assembly to work with me to cut the state tax on groceries this coming fiscal year, putting an extra $360 million back in the pockets of Illinois families. The grocery tax is really one of the most regressive taxes. And because we have balanced our budget and we have a surplus in Illinois, this is a straightforward way for us to help residents who need it most. And it's just one aspect of our $1 billion of relief in the Illinois Family Relief Plan. We're also canceling the scheduled gas tax increase, and we're cutting property taxes by doubling the property tax rebate, giving homeowners back up to $300 each. And we're going to do it all while we're also building up and building back our rainy day fund, paying off past due bills that have plagued taxpayers in Illinois, and making the most impactful pension payment in nearly 30 years. I came into office with a promise to do right by the working families of our state. And as rising prices squeeze the pocketbooks of residents all across the nation, that mission has never been more important. State government's responsibility is as straightforward as it is essential. Alleviate pressure on families wherever we can. Increase support for residents who need it most. And everywhere, every day, be there for the people that we serve. So I want to thank you again for joining us today. And with that, I'll turn it over to a true advocate in the State House for Chicago's working families, and that's Senator Patricia Van Pelt. Senator?
Thank you, Mr. Governor. Again, I'm State Senator Patricia Van Pelt, and I am the State Senator for the 5th District, and welcome to the 5th District, everyone here. I'm just really excited about being here, standing by the side with Governor Pritzker to talk about the family relief plan that he has presented for the legislature to approve. I'm just grateful that I heard him say the things that he said in his campaign, and then I'm seeing those things manifest here on the ground. these are pocketbook issues. People will feel the difference when they're able to keep $360 million in our pockets that would have otherwise went out for grocery taxes. That's phenomenal. And then the property tax, getting a chance to cut back on some of these property taxes. I've sat under 3 administrations in my 10 years in the Senate, and I've heard commitments from each one. Each of those administrations that came in made commitments, said they were going to do things, and each one did, I guess, what they could. But I tell you, what I heard from Pritzker, Governor Pritzker, has not only been spoken over and over again before he ran, during the time he ran, after he was elected. He continues to speak the same message, and that is he's here for the working family. And I can stand here and say that based on what I've seen over these last years in his administration, he has followed up that promise with a commitment and with dollars. And this family relief plan is going to bring back over $1 billion, to save over $1 billion for Illinois residents. It's just one piece of that plan. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you, Mr. Governor.
Thank you very much, Senator. Happy to take any questions from members of the media. Rick.
There's been a lot of substantial pushback from the road construction industry as well as local 150. I understand there are negotiations going on with the administration and an effort to try to hold the road fund harmless. Are you that set on just trying to get that freeze at 3.2%?
Look, the families, the people of Illinois deserve to get that break. We have done such a good job so far. The Department of Transportation has delivered on time and on budget on every project so far in the first 2.5 years of our rebuilding Illinois, that they feel strongly that we'll be able to get all of the projects done that were under that plan and still be able to make this contribution to the families of Illinois, this gas tax relief for people, so important, and we'll still be able to deliver on the roads and bridges that we've promised. So I feel pretty good about where we are, and obviously, always interested in negotiating, listening to people who are important in Illinois and bringing to the table their concerns. So happy to sit down with them.
Just to follow up on that, if I may, some of those people pushing back on it point out that this tax savings would really amount to perhaps $15 to the motorist over a year, again, based on average fuel consumption, and that $15 will even fill a tank of gas in the car.
Look, let me start by saying that any relief we can provide to families is worth giving. People are suffering from higher prices. That includes the global oil prices, as you know. And so whatever we can do to bring down the cost for working families, we ought to try to do. The only reason we're able to do that, by the way, is because we've been fiscally responsible. We balance the budget and we have a surplus. What are we doing with that surplus? Well, $1 billion of it is going back into the pockets of people across Illinois.
Governor, your Republican counterparts roundly criticizing these measures as a whole as election year gimmicks. Yesterday, Richard Irvin going so far as to say that it looks like you're just trying to buy votes. Can you respond to that?
Well, this wasn't a gimmick when Richard Irvin's running mate proposed precisely this earlier this year, last year. This is real relief for families across Illinois. If we can do more, we will do more. When we can do more, we will do more. And again, balancing the budget allows us to even talk about providing these tax cuts to people, and I hope we'll be able to do more.
But you understand how this looks. This looks like it's a one-year thing in an election year. The optics are not good.
I think for working families, the optics are very good. The optics are that they're going to pay less in the coming year than they did in the last year. That's what's important about the plan.
Could you do this without the federal COVID relief?
Yeah, let's take a hard look at what we proposed. We have a surplus in our budget without any federal dollars at all. These are all state revenues that come in that have given us the surplus. These are, individual income taxes and corporate income taxes and sales taxes. And you just read, I think this morning, that COGFA came out with a report showing that we've received in those line items $2.6 billion of additional revenue for the state of Illinois. And when you put into effect, as we have, measured cost reductions and holding down costs across the government of the state, it allows us to take that surplus and do something important with it, and that's to give it back to the people of Illinois. Yeah, I'll get you an exact number, but again, the $2.6 billion of additional revenue for the state of Illinois is from those main line items in our budget.
Can I ask you about Mr. Irvin's restaurants yesterday? One, in my conversation with him, he blamed you for signing a crime bill that he says contributed in part to the deaths of 8 police officers in the line of duty. What's your response?
Well, let's start with anybody that attacks police officers and, God forbid, kills a police officer. Anybody that does that deserves to be thrown in jail, prosecuted, and serve a very long sentence, indeed maybe a life sentence. But let's be clear that Richard Irvin is exaggerating because he doesn't really understand the law. It seems like if you're running for governor, you ought to understand the law. The law that he's referring to is one that mostly doesn't go into effect until next year. He also misunderstands what that law is about. It would keep people in prison who could otherwise afford to get out of prison. These could be very violent criminals. And it allows people who are nonviolent criminals who may be in jail for a petty offense and just don't have $100 to get themselves out of jail. So I attend the funerals of police officers. I talk to family members in the wake of the deaths of their loved one who was a first responder. So no one needs to tell me about the seriousness of the attack that has taken place on a police officer, because I feel it. I talk to those people, unfortunately, too regularly, but it's also one of the important duties of being governor of our state.
Governor, do you think there should be, Governor, do you think there,
That the criminals know this is coming and that was emboldened the crime that's taking place?
Well, again, I don't think he understands what the law does. The reality of the matter is that we're protecting people by enacting this law. We're also, very importantly, increasing the number of state police. We're investing in crime labs so we can solve crime. I said it 2 days ago. If you want to reduce crime, we need to solve crime and then go prosecute those people. And that's a very important principle that we've invested in. And I look to Senator Van Pelt and the Democratic colleagues of mine who voted for that. You know who voted against that? All the Republicans.
but at the same time, Governor, the crime that is going on, how people feel is that they translate that crime reform bill into letting too many people out that should be in. They wonder if they're going to make tweaks to the bill. Does it go too far?
Again, they're not characterizing the bill properly. And let me be clear, there were changes that were made. There were alterations that were made. And there were many people who were in the room making decisions from all over the state, including law enforcement, who didn't work against the bill. Many law enforcement officers and organizations did not work against the bill and believe that there are real changes that needed to be made. And so those changes, which are positive for our judicial system, for our justice system, that is what that bill is all about. There are many more things that we need to do to fight crime, though, right? We've got to make sure we're investing in the things that police need. We're investing in the things that the communities need to lift themselves up. The underlying causes of crime are the things that we're attacking with the investments that we're making in the budget that I proposed.
COVID-related. If you have one question, and then Greg Bishop asked me if I could ask one for him. But the test positivity rate is down now at 8%. That's the lowest it's been since December 22nd. Hospitalizations have now dropped. Number of people in the hospital 22 days in a row. Are we on the verge of relaxing the indoor mask mandate? And if not, is there a metric when you might be doing that?
Look, the COVID metrics are going the right direction. I'm very pleased about that. One of the reasons for that is because we've had the right kinds of mitigations. Illinois has done better than every other state in the Midwest in many of the mitigations, most especially at getting people vaccinated. So I'm very pleased that we were able to weather this COVID storm, the Omicron COVID storm that came through. I believe that we should remove masks as soon as we possibly can. I am constantly listening to the doctors and scientists and encouraging them, when can we do this? What's the right time? What's the right way to do it? And so very hopeful we'll be able to make some announcements about that.
Greg Bishop was just saying, if you can react to the Johns Hopkins study saying that government COVID restrictions are intended to slow the spread of COVID-19, came with high economic and social costs and limited public health benefits. Finally, also wants to know about the mandate for masks in schools.
The number one most important thing that I was focused on and continue to be focused on as we fight back against COVID, as we try to deal with the challenges that that's brought us, the health challenges, the financial challenges, is keeping people alive, keeping people safe and healthy. That's the most important thing you can do. And so that's what I'm going to continue to focus on. It's the right thing to do. And we're going to, very carefully evaluate how to keep people safe and healthy while we might bring down the mitigation levels. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Put my mask on.